Today's summit so far has focused very much on the mobile and the smartphone space, but there's also huge interest around the world in connecting products beyond phones. Now, the concept of the Internet of Things means we could see billions of connected devices in the next few years, everything from cars to home appliances, even the emergence of truly smart cities. So we're going to broaden our focus now and hear from a company that is innovating beyond the traditional mobile device. Headquarters in Hong Kong, Remotech Technology Limited specializes in home automation, and I'd like to introduce the company's general manager, Daniel Chun. Daniel. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you. Can you hear me? Great, thank you. Thank you, Justin, for the introduction, and thank you for Bodo Ishbak, I think, for the wonderful introduction about infrared, the world of infrared. I came from Hong Kong, and I've been working with this company for about a year and a half. Before that, I have a good career in telecommunications and all around in mobile data, mobile networks, as well as even with satellite communications. And I'm currently the VP for this company, which is a 25-year-old company working in the smart controls arena. I also chair and volunteer my time in one of the new organizations in Hong Kong, which is the Smart City Consortium, which ideally wants to prepare a blueprint for the government in terms of smart city integration. So without further ado, I'll go through my presentations. Sorry, how is that? Okay, great. So I've been invited to speak about the topic smart device beyond innovation. Smart device innovation beyond mobile. So we all know about the mobile generation today, and innovations actually can come at different times. And I would like to kind of point a few topics about innovations. Does anyone own Tesla here in the floor? One of the most famous electric cars. Now let me share with you from where I come from in Hong Kong. Tesla is actually one of the highest sell car right now, surpassing Mercedes-Benz and BMW, topping as #1 sales in Hong Kong. Tesla also announced that they have the highest penetration of the Tesla supercharger, which is the charging station for Tesla in Hong Kong. So it takes a long time for innovation to come this far. You know why? Because the first car, electric car, is not Tesla. It's something else. It's actually electric vehicle 1, EV1, that came 20 years ago by General Motors, and that was circa about 1996 to 1999. This is a first production, mass production electric car around the world. And in total, they sold only 1,177 units. So innovation can come way too early. So we all know about that. Now, next up, I'm sure you're all familiar with this product here. Does anyone know what this is? Yeah? Okay. If you know about this product, it came from my era in mobile data. So this is Apple Newton. It's manufactured, mass-produced in around circa 1993. That's when the mobile messaging market start to proliferate. You know, we see the hockey stick of mobile communication. Nonetheless, it was still narrow bandwidth, so it didn't take off. It did not take off. So despite the fact that it was sold only for 1.3 million units, it took quite a while for Apple to come up with the next generation of product, which is what we have observed in about 1996, 1997. I'm sorry, 2007, when iPod Touch first came in the market. So when it comes to innovation, I'm going to present it in two different ways. One is the hardware side. One is the business model, the application side, which is very interesting to carriers, customers, to mobile carriers, MVNOs, as well as the entire value chain, whether they are distributing phones, they're manufacturing IoT items. So I'm going to start with the hardware innovations from our perspective. We all know about how many phones have been manufactured, and carriers, companies have been trying an effort to recycle them. They accept trade-ins, they bring in phones, and they will try to refurbish it in the effort to basically remanufacture or recollect some of the materials. Some of them are materials that are actually heavy metals, precious metals, and then they will go back to the market. Some phones are actually shipped to other emerging markets where they have never had that kind of phones yet. So effort has been spent. However, these are the statistics I want to share with you. There are 1.7 billion as of today, and estimated to be about 2 billion phones, smartphones, that's going to be sold. And about average US household, a person would have 5 devices. In a household, averaging 24 devices. This is quite significant. The turnover of a new phone is also very significant. Yeah? And all of these are contributing to e-waste. And some of the digital waste actually will become toxic, and it cannot be recycled, remanufactured anymore, and it goes to our landfill, right? When it goes to our landfill, obviously it's going to become part of the ecology that the environment that we live in. Now, just to show you some statistics, this is from a company in Europe, Fairphone. They did a study about how many phones are actually being kept at home. And apparently, there are over 56% of used phones that are not being recycled or remanufactured, nor being reused. 56%. And similar statistics come from Canada, where there are about 48% of, and this is from a source of Recycle Myself, over 48% of the population still have a phone in the storage. And alarmingly, 32% of these actually have 2 devices keeping at home, and maybe even 22% actually have 3 devices still kept at home, not being used. Similar studies in Australia, 60% kept 1 phone, 36% kept 2 phones. So despite the effort of reuse, recycle, remanufacture, or reduce, right, the challenge ahead for the entire value chain is how to have real products, innovation, that can really extend the product life cycle and allow it to be reused. And we all know recycling, it takes more money to recycle them. But it's an effort that all the carriers, manufacturers, and social enterprise are now all popping up, trying to recycle these. Now, this is where we come in. We believe that carriers, MVNOs, distributors can actually add value by creating more use case for reuse. And this is where we have been innovating, and we have created some value proposition in terms of device. And we believe that it can create a circular economy. Now, this is actually a chart made by McKinsey, the consultants. The McKinsey consultants had worked with Adana Foundations to really recommend all types of industry, including the mobile industries, to encourage recycle, reuse, remanufacture. Now, we're going to focus on reuse here, and this is where we come in. We believe when a customer comes to your shop or go to a carrier for renewing a contract, there could be a good value proposition that the carrier can actually offer to the customers by offering them something that they can reuse the current smartphone. Because very often, the customer, they're buying a new phone, they're enticed by the new OS or the new features of the phone. Nonetheless, what are they going to do with the old smartphone? I'm sure some of you actually are one of those customers that you have an old phone sitting somewhere in the drawer. So our value proposition is to extend the product life cycle such that it moves into the value added to smart home, smart controls. And this is why we have actually produced a product called Modem. Now, we came from a 25-year-old company manufacturing, remote controls, remote controllers. Now, this is something that we manufactured and developed 25 years ago. And 25 years ago, we already have products that can control multiple devices. I found this on eBay, actually, because it's way before my time. So I can still find some products like this circulating around. That's actually a product from my company. Now, so in fact, if you look at the product life cycle, if we can somehow extend the product and the value add, the value proposition for all the virtual MVNO mobile carriers and the value chain, there could be another 2-3 years use of that phone before it actually goes to the dump. Okay. So what we are trying to look at is to have the customer, acquire the new smartphone, the new features, but yet go on to use that old phone without modem, which is a smart docking station that can actually control all the electronics, air conditioning in your home today, bridging the old and the new. This is very important. Today, despite the proliferation of various chipsets and different standards like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, low energy, infrared is still has a very high install base. I mean, it comes in different form factor. The interesting part is it's very green, the way that we have designed it, because we actually are not manufacturing new product, we're reusing the old smartphone. So at the end of the day, the value proposition is very clear to an operator, to a distributor, to the entire value chain, is to easily renew contracts, bring value to the smart home, and offer the convenience, control, and comfort for the end user. And then, of course, the carrier can devise different plans and revenue strategy, such as having a new data plan, selling another SIM card, and then hopefully offer something like smart control as a service, right? And then also sell a new form of devices. Now, this strategy is universal. It's just like selling a new class of CPE equipment or a mobile device. So how does we get involved in it? The reason why is we've been in the business for about 25 years in this kind of smart control area. And we understood that the challenges is multiple interoperable standards. And today, nobody actually make an effort to amalgamate and work on these non-standard infrared controls. And this is where we come in. Our company actually actively support a lot of IoT. These are some of our customers. So they've been actually implementing using our company's solutions to produce actual products. And this is the tedious task that we've been working with many chipsets company. We basically obtain a lot of the protocol information for home controls. We make it a structure. Yeah, so we have encoding standards that we created as an open source standard. We have standard APIs and SDK so that developers can use it, right? But at the same time, we ensure that there are chipset solutions that you can perhaps use on a single chip solution as well. So we have an encoding standard that we have worked with different companies as a Creative Commons. Okay, so we've talked about hardware innovation. We believe we have a product innovation which we have received patent pending on, and that enables all the mobile carriers, all the virtual operators, and the entire value chain to basically get involved, extend the value, reuse. Then we look at the application. What's interesting about application is it's also something green. We all know about global warming. Today we had when I came in this morning from Hong Kong, it was raining heavily, the flight was delayed. I was thinking that I may not be able to make this presentation. But I want to share with you the fact that global warming is an issue for all the cities around the world. In Hong Kong, in Shanghai, in London, in all the major cities. Now, C40 is an organization to track the worldwide temperatures. Our seas are rising, our temperature is rising. This is a global phenomenon, okay? So this is Shanghai with 2 degrees rise in temperature. And if it is 4 degrees rise in temperature, it'll be like this. And let's look at London. So if with 2 degrees rise in temperature, it will look like this. With 4 degrees rise in temperature, the sea level will rise even higher. Now, what does it tell you? It's a global phenomenon that is recognized by everyone. From where I came from in Hong Kong, last year, we hit a record high temperature in August. I think this year, 2016, we'll definitely hit that record. Because a few days ago, we already hit that kind of very close to that record, almost 36.3. Now, this phenomena drives us, everyone, right? Not just Hong Kong, but everyone on the verge of consuming more. And the key word is sustainable consumption, especially in the use of air conditioning. Now, I'll talk about application just now. I want to ask everyone to think about when temperature rises, what we do today is to actually continue to use the air conditioning, yeah? In Hong Kong, let me share with you some data. 34% of the electricity in Hong Kong in residential market is consumed in air conditioning. Now, data speaks. This is 1/3 of the problem in Hong Kong. So in that context, I'm trying to build a business model around the use of devices, mobile. If we can control the electricity at home using smart devices, that you can also use an app, use AI, machine learning, all the big data that we talk about, right? The plans, the algorithms, the smart learning profiles, we can actually help eliminate the peak of demand of electricity and also the greenhouse gas, which is troubling a lot of the cities right now. So at the end, the value proposition, the business model that we offer is perhaps a carrier can start thinking about offering beyond just the mobile, extend the product life cycle to go into home, where you can offer comfort, convenience, and control. And this is exactly what we are proposing, that the carriers should start thinking about what's the best entry point right now. It's been talked about for 10 years or maybe even more in smart home. But it's not until now, recently, that when chipset companies have noticed that Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, other standards may not be connecting the last mile within your home. It's still infrared. And thank you for the previous speaker from Osram. He explained infrared, the purpose of infrared, the science behind infrared, right? It's simply because there's such a big install base out there right now that it makes sense. So our company recently, not recently, actually since last year, we've been working with in Hong Kong, and we have been successfully won a couple of competitions, including one of the elite competition from Hong Kong Institution of Engineers. Our proposal is a business model of SmartAirCon campaign. And we have actually outbeat some of the most biggest companies, including the utility companies in Hong Kong, the MTR in Hong Kong, and even some listed company in Hong Kong for this project. And because of our experience in 25 years in smart home control, the whole industry have high hope for us to be able to really develop something that can help reduce the consumption of electricity and offer the smart air control, aircon, that we talked about. So this is basically the use case that we presented. Because we are in worldwide distribution in terms of products, we actually have thermostat in C-Wave product that we've been distributing. So what we are proposing is a complete use case for worldwide comfort control. In North American market, where you can use a thermostat together with split type aircon. In Asia, perhaps you can use aircon and fan to control. All these are governed by basically machine learning, artificial intelligence, and big data. Now, so this is basically a family of product where we can have open interface with weather information, smart metering. In fact, we have been in discussion with both utility companies in Hong Kong to have their metering data to open up for us. Our proposed SmartAirCon solution have been proposed to the Smart City Consortium, which I volunteer to basically become a part of the framework. What's interesting is about wearable products. Wearable products, as the previous speakers have explained, has become very popular. We're not quite there yet in collecting body temperature, but today a lot of wearable products already give out API and authentication for collecting sleeping data. And this is very important because during sleep, you actually don't need when you fall into deep sleep, your body temperature drops. You don't need that air conditioning to be at the same temperature. The system, our SmartAirCon product, can actually smartly control those based on your wearable product that you might be putting on. So there are a lot of profiling information and calculations. This is just part of the calculations in how to effectively control the temperature for you, using different scenarios and a combination of both using the air conditioning system and the fans. So at the end of the day, there are also very smart profiling and learning algorithms that we are using. In fact, in Hong Kong, we are actually partnering with Microsoft Hong Kong to experiment with some of the machine learning algorithms and AI data suite that they use. Now, this is the chart just to show how it can exhibit, during deep sleep, you don't need, the air conditioning to be so cold anymore, right? And perhaps in the morning, 6:30, you can even switch it off for you and use the fan instead. And in future, if body temperature can be measured accurately, there are some companies that are already doing it with some wearable product for baby. A lot of the time, baby will kick off their blankets and all that. Infants tend to do that, right? And this is why you don't want the climate inside, the indoor climate, to be either too hot or too cold, right? So there are advanced algorithms that can help you to determine that. And at the end, our advocacy effort is focused on how perhaps a mobile carrier, a mobile virtual network operator, or even the entire value chain distribution of phones should come together and start thinking about how can they actually be a little bit more green. Now remember, we talked about the reuse of an old smartphone, and then think about energy saving application. So I talked about innovations in the hardware side, which is a device, right? A novel device, we have a patent pending on that actually use a lot less material, but reuse a handphone, a smartphone. But also on the application side, where we created a business model. So on the hardware side, we solved an indoor connectivity problem with our legacy IR control, which has a lot of install base right now, a lot, right, worldwide. And we also created a business model for mobile virtual net operator, to offer and extend the value beyond the mobile mobility, beyond the applications. You can bring it to the home. So we solved two major problems. And when we talk about smart device innovation beyond mobile, if you look at both how I dissected the two topics into hardware and application layer business model, I'm actually inviting everyone to start thinking about the problem that I've just pointed out, is how to think green. And with that, I think I'll finish my presentation. Thank you for all your patience. You can reach me with WeChat, Twitter, and I'm actually speaking in a few panels as well later on 30th, so you can find me here. Thank you very much. Thank you.